Hello, welcome to the Rio Gaming Nexus YouTube channel. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy the video, and thanks for watching.
Who is Victor Stone? Some know him as the hero Cyborg, a member of the Justice League and one of DC's most prominent black superheroes. However, he's much more than just that. He is a beacon of hope for anyone who's ever felt like an outcast, someone who has overcome incredible odds to become a hero. He's also a hero who has had a lot of different looks over the years. So today, we're going to take a deep dive into Victor Stone's life and see what makes him so special. Let's get started. Victor was born in the fictional Midwestern town of New Genesis to Dar Silas Stone and Dar Rita Stone, two respected scientists and professors at a local university. From an early age, it was clear that Victor had inherited his parents' intelligence. While his mother specialized in cybernetics, his father studied in the field of applied physics. Victor developed an interest in both subjects, leading him to follow in their footsteps. However, Victor's life changed drastically when he was 14 years old. His father, Silas, was working on a top-secret project that involved harnessing the power of mother boxes, powerful alien devices with the ability to alter DNA. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned and the lab exploded, killing his mother and leaving his father in critical condition. Victor, who was nearby at the time, rushed to his father's aid, but he too was caught up in the blast. It seemed like there was nothing anyone could do for him. His body was completely burnt and doctors believed that there was no hope for survival. But then Silas made a decision that would change Victor's life forever. Despite his own injuries, he used the last of his strength to bring his son back to life using experimental cybernetic technology, effectively merging Victor's human consciousness with technology. The process stabilized Victor's brain activity, but his physical form remained in a state of suspended animation. Seeing his son still alive, albeit in a very precarious state, Silas dedicated himself to finishing what he started, using his knowledge and resources to create a new body for Victor. This new body was a marvel of technology, made from a combination of cybernetics and nanotechnology. It allowed Victor to not only survive, but also gave him enhanced abilities, including superhuman strength, speed, and durability. This was the beginning of Victor's journey as Cyborg, a journey that was not without its challenges. As Victor came to terms with his new reality, he struggled to control his powers and understand his place in the world. But with the help of his father and other allies, he eventually learned to accept his new form and use his powers for good. He became a superhero, fighting against evil and helping those in need. But despite his success as a hero, Victor never forgot where he came from. He understood the pain and isolation of feeling like an outsider, and he used his experiences to help others who were going through the same thing. While Victor Stone's origin story is unique, it's also a story that resonates with many people on a deeply emotional level. Victor's struggle to come to terms with his new reality after the explosion is something that many people can relate to, whether they've experienced physical trauma or emotional scars, and his journey towards self-acceptance and empowerment is truly inspiring. As for why this story is important, well, Victor Stone's story is important for many reasons. Firstly, he is one of the most prominent black superheroes in the DC universe, and his story offers a unique perspective on what it means to be a hero. Secondly, his story tackles important themes such as grief, loss, and the ethics of science, which are all relevant to people of all backgrounds. Finally, Victor's story is simply a good one. It has all the elements of a great story, including a compelling protagonist, a strong supporting cast, and a thought-provoking plot. Now let's talk about how Victor got his name. Well, the name Cyborg was given to Victor by the media after he became a superhero. The name stuck because it accurately described Victor's new form, which was a combination of human and machine. Interestingly, the name Cyborg was not originally intended to be derogatory, but it came to be seen as a negative term by some because of the way it was used in popular culture. However, Victor embraced the name Cyborg and used it to his advantage. He saw it as a symbol of his unique identity and the fact that he was not defined by his disability or his appearance. In fact, Victor's story is a great example of how people should not be defined by their appearance or their disabilities, but rather by their actions and their character. Victor is not defined by the fact that he is a cyborg, but by his heroism, his compassion, and his strength. Now I want to talk about some of the challenges that Victor faced as a result of becoming a cyborg. One of the biggest challenges that Victor faced was learning to control his powers. When he first became a cyborg, Victor's powers were out of control and he couldn't even walk without shaking. He had to learn how to use his powers in order to function in the world. Another challenge that Victor faced was learning to accept his new body. When he first looked down at his new body, he saw a monster. He hated what he had become and wanted to go back to the way things were before. It wasn't until his father showed him that he could use his powers to help people that Victor began to accept his new reality. Additionally, Victor faced social stigma and prejudice as a cyborg. People were afraid of him and didn't understand what he was. They saw him as a freak show or a monster and treated him accordingly. However, Victor didn't let this get to him. He knew that he was more than his appearance and that his actions and character were what truly mattered. Despite the challenges he faced, Victor Stone's story is ultimately a triumphant one. He not only learned to accept his new reality as a cyborg, but he also became a hero who saved countless lives. His story is an inspiration to all of us to embrace what makes us unique and to use our differences to make the world a better place. Now let's talk about some of the ways that Victor's life has changed since he became a cyborg. For starters, Victor's life is now in danger all the time. Since he became a superhero, Victor's life is constantly in danger. He faces enemies who want to kill him and puts his life on the line every time he fights. This is a stark contrast to the life he lived as Victor Stone, where he was just an ordinary guy going about his everyday life. Additionally, Victor's relationships have changed since he became a cyborg. When he first became a cyborg, Victor's friends and family were afraid of him and didn't know how to react. However, they eventually came to accept him and support him in his heroic endeavors. Overall, Victor's life has changed in many ways since he became a cyborg. He faces constant danger, has forged new relationships, and must now balance his life as a superhero with his personal life. It's a lot to handle, but Victor is up to the task. Now let's discuss what makes Victor Stone such a fascinating character. Victor Stone is a fascinating character for several reasons. Firstly, he is a complex character who struggles with issues of identity, self-acceptance, and the ethics of science. Secondly, he is a relatable character who struggles with everyday problems such as fitting in and finding his place in the world. Additionally, Victor is a strong and determined character who doesn't let his physical limitations define him. He is a true inspiration to all of us who face challenges in our own lives. Finally, Victor is simply a fun character to read about. He is a hero who fights evil and helps those in need. His adventures are exciting and full of action, making him a joy to read. Overall, Victor Stone is a well-rounded character who is loved by fans of the DC Universe and beyond. If you're interested in learning more about Victor Stone and the world he inhabits, then I highly recommend checking out the comics featuring his adventures. You won't be disappointed. And if you want to keep learning about the amazing characters of the DC Universe, then be sure to check out my other videos. Thanks for watching and happy learning!